You've seen it all before. Your agency is embarking on a construction project. The building trades propose a partnership through the use of a Community Benefits Agreement, or PLA. On time, under budget, it all makes sense to you. And then they come in.
Okay, maybe they're not undead, but who are they? If your city or agency has ever held a hearing about building a new public works project, you've probably met one of these paid lobbyists. They travel the state to oppose project labor agreements and the prevailing wage. But who do they represent? Throughout this video, we'll uncover the truth about the ABC.
The Associated Builders and Contractors was founded in 1950 by 7 anti-union contractors in Baltimore. Initially a regional trade association, the ABC gained prominence in the late 1960s when the organization that became the Business Roundtable partnered with them to keep construction wages down. By fighting the prevailing wage for construction workers, these business interests felt they could keep wages low for factory workers as well and bypass the unions altogether. Even today, that's still what the ABC is all about. Rather than working to strengthen the construction industry, the ABC is a voice for low wages and against unions.
The ABC often says they represent 84% of the California construction industry. But do they really? With 5 chapters in California, the ABC counts about 1,200 general contractors and subcontractors as members. Sounds impressive until you realize that California has more than 340,000 licensed contractors. Well, maybe their 1,200 contractors take on all the big jobs, or maybe not.
One building trades union did some counting. Laborers are working on 73% of all commercial and industrial projects in the state valued at more than $1 million. The reality is, the vast majority of major infrastructure and commercial projects, both public and private, have been completed by the building trades utilizing the prevailing wage. To top it off, the ABC and their allied organizations don't even value the work and skill it takes to create massive infrastructure projects.
The largest boondoggle in human history. All hyperbole aside, the $68 billion, as of now, of course it'll be much greater than that, high-speed rail project, there's simply been nothing like it in history. The Great Pyramids of Giza didn't cost this much.
That may not be the best comparison, because after all, they used slaves to build the pyramids. ABC contractors claim to do the finest work at the lowest price. But a review of fines levied by the Division of Labor Standards Enforcement shows that the ABC's small number of contractors are 16 times more likely to be fined for fraud on public works jobs than other union and non-union contractors. Mark Fowler has been a union signatory contractor and a member of the ABC.
I grew up in the contracting business here in Southern California. My family started in 1948 as a lath and plastering contractor. Up until the late 70s, we were union, and then we switched over and became a lot like a lot of contractors did. We became a non-union shop. Over the last 30, 40 years in the construction industry, we've seen a loss in the amount of skilled craft workers that get true apprenticeship and true mentorship training that they really need.
Construction is increasingly a high-skilled occupation, and apprenticeship is the way to teach those skills to new workers. The building trades and their signatory contractors have been offering apprenticeship training for more than a century. These programs are funded by a contribution based on hours worked. The ABC has attempted to establish formal apprenticeship programs as well. However, they've been much less successful as their contractors are less willing to pony up the cents per hour funding necessary to pay for training.
When I was a non-union contractor, I don't remember any apprenticeship programs. I was not aware of any. They certainly were not like when I was a union contractor. It was very much a part of our signatory bargaining agreement that we signed that we'd put our guys through apprenticeship. But when we went non-union, I didn't see any. I didn't know where to send them to. I just tried to train them myself the best I could, but I was only one person, so how much can you do?
According to 2011 tax filings, building trades apprenticeship programs spent at least 10 times as much on training than the non-union contractors spent. Today, building trades programs are training 91% of all construction apprentices in the state. They're training 95% of the women apprentices and 90% of the minority apprentices. And in 2013, 10 times as many people graduated from union programs than from non-union programs.
In fact, the ABC admitted to the Division of Apprenticeship Standards that one of its premier programs had 0 graduates for a 10-year period. If they don't have good apprenticeship programs, how do non-union contractors get the work done?
The non-union contracting that I've been around, most of them get their more skilled guys, quite honestly, from union shops that have gone through apprenticeship training. And those are probably their top supervisors that they keep around, and they pay them and treat them pretty well. Problem is, in the non-union side, the worker out in the field typically isn't afforded that luxury.
Providing excellent training is actually antithetical to the ABC's political values. They sell themselves as being able to keep their labor costs low. If they provided top-notch 4 or 5-year training programs like the building trades programs do, their workers would expect better pay and benefits. Jorge Hernandez completed his ABC apprenticeship, but when he joined the union, he felt he needed to re-enroll in the electrician's apprenticeship program.
It's important to get this kind of education because you want to be an all-around electrician. You don't want to just be somebody with a card. The difference between ABC and the IBW apprenticeship is like night and day. In 2 years that I've been here in the IBW apprenticeship, I've learned more than I learned in 5 years over at the ABC.
The training is so important, and it's a shame if we lose the last bastion we have of the apprenticeship programs. Where do we go from there? We've got to keep those going.
That's why the building trades put so much emphasis on providing health and safety training and safe job sites.
The education that I've gotten as far as safety theory, I'm more aware of things that I do now. When I'm actually at work, I'm more aware of like what could happen.
There's no doubt that the union work sites are much more safe, I think, for the worker than the non-union work sites. Most of your catastrophic problems end up being on the non-union work sites.
5 of the top 10 most dangerous jobs are in the construction industry. But the ABC and their cronies don't think construction is a dangerous occupation.
We talk about our lives being on the line, building things. Our lives aren't on the line when we build things.
That may be why the ABC opposes most laws and regulations strengthening occupational safety and health. ABC chapters have a history of supporting litigation against the government to try to weaken labor standards protections. Fortunately, most of their efforts have been unsuccessful.
While people often say that construction is a great career opportunity because the jobs cannot be outsourced, the ABC has looked for ways to import the workforce. Sonia Ramirez has confronted the ABC in the halls of Congress.
What the ABC has done is embrace a strategy in immigration reform that relies very heavily upon importing workers that are essentially disposable from their perspective. They want safe harbors for contractors that willingly and knowingly hire undocumented workers.
The ABC's guest worker strategy undermines our economy and hinders our ability to build a robust, skilled construction workforce here at home.
If the ABC is successful in ensuring that we rely upon a guest worker strategy, we will no longer have the opportunity to create ladders of opportunity into the middle class. That includes registered apprenticeship opportunities for veterans, for women, for minorities, and for the hundreds of thousands of students who graduate from high school each year throughout the country.
Is the ABC the undead? Oh no, they're very much alive. But they're a lot less than they'd like you to believe. Instead of strengthening California's workforce and building California's construction industry, they merely fight to undermine our economy, pay low wages, undo worker safety, and lower apprenticeship standards. Next time you hear from the ABC, remember what they're really about and who they really are.